So if someone was to say there's extra on top and then they're saving the best for last, this is what reminds me of fairy tale endings. And so if you draw a giant divide between anything that is dark, if anything that isn't dark would fall into the division of the other. So there's an obstruction of justice if things are being weaponized that are supposed to be commonplace. Water, food, and air. That's a trifecta that you're caught in the middle every time.
You know, that's like a really rash statement. I'm making the most complexion of like a prop or a scene that has a whole bunch of machines in it, showing how each of those work, almost like a manual to a museum, a map to a museum with the manual of each of the items in a museum. All that information made enjoyable, I think, has to be where you flip-flop on a dark movie and then a fairy tale by making the audience guess at any point of time what could be the other. And I do that all the time with movies, like, oh my gosh, if this scene continued, it would definitely be a scary movie. The intricacy of a complexion within a movie, the most complex structure, it usually is just there to look good. But the more that you can introduce how it is working and how that's affecting the plot, the characters, anything in it is boring, because a lot of it would have been just shown as a documentary of that specific mechanism. And so the more that you can bang that home, it'd be a great way to innovate what a plot could be, and it is going to draw a complexion from the dark horror movies to fairy tales, kind of dividing either of them for a perfect twist. Here's a perfect scenario where in comic book movies they would have contraptions look intricate just for the box office to be accurate with how much money they rake in. Everyone's going for the cash cows, even the fat cats when they throw their hat in the ring. And so even though it isn't functionally accurate, it looks as though it would be. And so that's why a lot of the movies have that great look, but in reality it is not an actual attribute that would be utilized in a plant for food, a plant for power, even air. Alright, so that's two-dimensional, black and white. So anything that isn't dark would have been the fairy tale ending in the genre. Here's where the complexion comes in. Is the climax of either is strictly sci-fi. In fairy tales, like, you don't know why it's gonna happen, and then also in scary movies, because it's so dark, you don't know what's gonna happen. So when sci-fi elements occur, there's like no reason for it, because it's so dark, it makes perfect sense that you wouldn't see it in the first place. That is the parallel that's
what a classical complexion would surmount from just 2 dimension.